If you've been following Matt Armstrong's Ferrari 296 rebuild, then you already know. This car has been stressed from the very beginning. He bought it crash damaged, which is normal for Matt. That's his thing. But this one? From the second it landed, it refused to start. Not once. Every time they connected the battery, the hazard lights just started flashing. No crank, no ignition, nothing. Just hazards blinking like the car was stuck in some kind of security mode. They replaced the airbags, searched everywhere for the pyro fuse, sent the battery management module off to specialists, and every single person they spoke to said the same thing. Nobody can access these battery control systems. Only Ferrari can, and that is not what you want to hear when you're rebuilding a modern hybrid Ferrari. But instead of parking the car and waiting around, Matt kept building it. Because here's the smart part. If Ferrari is ever going to help, the car has to be complete. Fully assembled, every panel on, every connector plugged in. Because the moment you show up with half a car, they've got every excuse to turn you away. If you're enjoying this deep dive into Matt Armstrong's rebuild, and you want to see every crazy twist, modification, and struggle as it happens, take a second to subscribe and turn on notifications now. Trust me, you don't want to miss the next updates on this insane Ferrari build. So they sourced a second-hand quarter panel from Eurospares. On these new Ferraris, everything is aluminium, so you can't just weld it up quickly. It had to be TIG welded properly. Bob stepped in, filled the rivet holes, joined the panels perfectly, cleaned everything up. Honestly, without Bob, this build probably stalls right there. Once the quarter was on, they started reconnecting everything behind it. And when I say everything, I mean everything. Engine ECU, wiring looms, fuel filler components, multiple modules packed into that tiny space. Modern Ferraris are basically computers wrapped in body panels. Then the hybrid battery went back in. Curtain airbags arrived from Ferrari, seats installed, bumpers on, headlights connected. At that point, as far as the car was concerned, it should have been complete enough to start. They connected the battery again. Hazard lights. Same story. It was literally 2 in the morning at one point. Every fuse checked, every obvious thing ruled out, completely stuck. Then weeks later, while fitting the side skirts, Matt noticed something small that didn't look right. A module with a ground wire that didn't match the other side. They peeled back the loom and found 2 snapped communication wires just sitting there broken. Now that's serious, because those wires are how the car systems talk to each other. If they're broken, the car basically can't communicate with itself. They repaired them properly. Heat shrink, taped everything back up, plugged it all back in. Tried again, still no start. But this time the dashboard message changed. Instead of a general hybrid failure warning, it now said the hybrid couldn't charge. That might not sound like much, but it meant the car was recognizing more than before. They'd made progress, just not enough. Now here's where Matt decided to turn this rebuild into something wild. He managed to order a genuine Ferrari 296 Challenge body kit, the actual race series kit, through Ferrari's own parts system. No challenge car, no special access. It just came. So instead of just rebuilding a damaged 296, the plan changed. He was going to build a road-legal 296 that looks exactly like the race car. Wider arches, aggressive aero, huge rear wing. Basically an 820 horsepower road car dressed like a 600 horsepower race machine. Ferrari eventually caught on and started blocking parts. But by then, a lot had already arrived. The rear bumper went on first, and surprisingly, it lined up beautifully. They had to modify it for parking sensors because race cars obviously don't have those. The number plate situation was another challenge. Race cars don't run plates or lights, so they drilled tiny LED lights directly into the number plate itself and wired them into the loom. And honestly, it looks factory. Then the exhaust came off. Bob fabricated a custom system using SVJ-style tips, exiting straight through the challenge bumper. They're calling it the Bobtronic. And if this thing ever fires up, it's going to be ridiculous. The rear wing was next level. Ferrari blocked the proper rear panel, so they borrowed measurements from a race team, marked everything out, cut into the standard panel, fabricated custom brackets, reinforced the chassis, and mounted a wing that looks like it belongs on a GT race car. It's huge, it's aggressive, and it's sitting on a road car. The front end was even more complicated. The The challenge bumper is much wider, and the standard radiators were in the way. So they removed them and installed a genuine center-mounted race radiator. That meant relocating crash sensors, rerouting coolant lines, and adjusting air conditioning components because this isn't a stripped-out race car. It still needs to cool the hybrid system properly. Eventually, the bumper fitted. The splitter went on. The vented bonnet dropped into place. And visually, the car looks insane. It doesn't look repaired. It looks like something Ferrari never officially built. Then came the bad news. Diagnostics showed a live crash data error stored inside the EV system. Not an old fault, an active one. Every time it was cleared, it came straight back. The car is simply too new. The software required to remove that crash flag from the battery system isn't available outside Ferrari yet. Matt called Ferrari. At first, they seemed helpful. They suggested charging both batteries separately and seeing what codes returned. That sounded promising. Then came the condition. Ferrari won't even look at the car until it's inspected and signed off by a Ferrari-approved body shop. And that body shop has to approve the repair before Ferrari will touch it. But think about it. The car has race bodywork, non-standard modifications, custom fabrication. A body shop might not sign off on that. Ferrari won't see it without the sign-off. And the car doesn't start, so moving it isn't simple either. It's a complete deadlock. They've sent emails, explained everything, and now they're waiting. Because the alternative is ordering a brand new hybrid battery, and even that would still need Ferrari to code it into the car. The crazy thing is, this rebuild isn't just about fixing a crashed supercar anymore. It's about modern vehicles being controlled by software, high voltage systems, digital crash flags, manufacturer-level access. This is where rebuilding is heading. Physically, the Ferrari is nearly finished. Aircon lines need sorting, bonnet pins, arch liners. It's getting lowered to fix the stance. The Vossen and Novatec wheels completely changed the presence. It looks like a one-of-one factory race special, and it still hasn't started. That's what makes this rebuild different from all the others. Not because of the damage, but because of the invisible barrier, stopping it from coming back to life. If you want to follow every single moment of Matt Armstrong's rebuilds, the struggles, the engineering tricks, and the insane final results, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. You'll get every update as it happens, and trust me, you don't want to miss the day this Ferrari finally roars to life.